Mr. Griffen, you were a married man who had a 2-year affair with your wife's stepsister, the defendant. You say that relationship produced a daughter, but Ms. Richmond claims you are not her daughter's biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your other daughter, Lakeisha, is here to support your claim. Ms. Richmond, you admit to the affair with Mr. Griffen, but say you are positive the plaintiff is not your daughter's biological father, and you plan to prove that in court today. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And so how do you end up having an affair with your sister's husband?
Not thinking, just being wild at that time of my age, and just not caring about anything. I can admit to that. I'm trying to fix it for her now.
Mr. Griffen, I have to ask you now. I mean, you a married man, and it's bad enough you sleeping around outside the marriage. But your wife's sister?
That was an honest mistake, Your Honor, but at the same...
Wait, now there wasn't no mistaken identity. You knew it was your wife's
I
sister.
understand. No, I'm talking about me doing what I did.
Was it an honest mistake or a dishonest mistake?
A dishonest mistake. Mm-hmm.
How long did this mistake
It lasted, I'd say, about 2 years.
Yeah. 2 years?
About a year. I know a year.
This wasn't no mistake. This was a decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay? Hey. So for 2 years, you were sleeping with your wife's sister?
Yes.
Regularly?
Yes.
Often, very often.
Without protection?
Without protection.
Mm-hmm. Lord, you should be able to be alone with your sister's husband and not sleep with him, or him not sleep with you. But how are you all spending this much time where this type of relationship could develop?
Because he was taking me home from when I used to go over to their house to visit my stepsister and stuff.
How long had you been married at the time, Mr. Griffen?
I'm still about 10 years.
So you all had known each other for an extended amount of time. Oh, this is all in the family.
All in the family, Your Honor. I was in love, so I thought what I thought was love back in that time.
Oh, because you had worked yourself up that you was in love with him.
Yes, Your Honor. I think that's why I chose to tell him first before anyone else that he was the father. We slept together more unprotected than I did with the other gentlemen.
And when you told him, what was his response? Do you remember?
As I remember, he said yes. Right off. He came over to my house and he picked her up and he went up on the stairs and he, put her up to the light and he said, yeah, she could be mine. And that was the last we ever discussed her really seriously.
That's the last you discussed her paternity?
Of him seeing her, actually, of me and him talking about her, being
I never seen
one.
him.
Yeah, I've never.
That's because she left.
Hold on, Miss.
I'm coming to that part.
Hold on, Miss Richmond.
I'm coming to that part.
Miss Richmond, Tykia, you're asserting in court today that you have not seen Mr. Griffen?
I've seen him one time when I was like 14.
In your life?
In my life. I spoke to him the first time on the phone, like the other week. I never
That's because I didn't know where they was at. 30 years I've been knowing that she's my daughter.
So you've never had a doubt?
Never had a doubt.
In 30 years?
In 30 years.
I did tell him that I was pregnant, but also I did tell him he was the father. But at the time, he also knew I was, with other people also. And he was a married man, so. And I'm sure he was with other people, too. So I was with 2 other guys.
So you were admitting that during the window of conception, you were also sleeping with 2 other men?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you tell those men you were pregnant as well?
No, Your Honor, no.
Why did you only choose to tell Mr. Griffen?
Mr. Griffen was the one I was with mostly all the time, mostly.
Right.
So that's why
you know it only
assumed
takes
was
once, though, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Her mother's saying there is doubt and you not. How can you be so sure?
Got photos here of when I was young and she was young.
Jerome, let me see that.
And because if it wasn't my daughter, what would the reason she come and tell me that she was pregnant?
Were you with her all during the pregnancy?
No.
We was never together.
No,
you weren't together during the pregnancy?
After I got pregnant, we never had too much contact because I got into a relationship with another gentleman.
You didn't want to come over.
While you were pregnant with his child?
We didn't hardly see each other.
She was trying to hide it from her stepsister.
So, Mr. Griffen, how did you tell your wife that you got her sister pregnant?
I didn't. Because I was too embarrassed to tell her, I did that. you know?
So, Tykia, I want to hear from you.
Right.
Because I want to understand, at what point did you find out?
Like the first time someone brought his name up was like, my mom never brought his name up. And then we went to Albany when I was in the 3rd grade, and my aunt and my cousins say, oh, you look just like the Griffins. You look just like the Griffins. That's like what everybody always say. You look just like those Griffins. And I'm like, who is the Griffin? And she's like, oh, no, those not your people. That's not your dad. I don't know. My mom, when people ask me who's my dad, I always said my whole life, I don't have a dad. I don't know my dad. I don't have a name. My mom never told me a name.
How hard is that as a young woman growing up?
It's just sad. And then I always have to hear stupid stories now about some old 70s triangle, love triangle. It's just stupid.
Wow, your family, they're your links. They're your pieces to your puzzle when you figure out who you are as a child.
Exactly.
I mean, without that, I can imagine that you did feel like you didn't know where you came from.
I'm sorry about that too, because I was very selfish for years and I didn't want to deal with my past, but I wasn't thinking about your life, and I'm sorry.
Probably when I was like in high school, I got a message on MySpace. Can you remember MySpace?
I sure do. I wasn't on it, but I remember
So
it.
I got a message on MySpace from Lakeisha. Just a long little thing saying, I think you're my sister. And I'm just like who is this girl? So
And wait, so when you first got the message, were you overwhelmed with emotion, or did you feel like it was a prank? What were you thinking?
I just thought she was crazy because of what my mom say.
Oh, because your mom had told you.
All I know is what my mom say.
So, Ms. Griffen, Lakeisha, I want to hear from you. You reached out to Tykia.
I did.
And what made you do that?
Well, I was in my dad's room one day because my sisters was taking up the other mirrors. So I was in there doing my hair. And after I got done and I'm getting all my hair supplies out of his room and stuff, you know, I'm straightening up his dresser. And I see some mail from Jackson County Child Support. And I began to look at it and I seen her name. Tykia's name. After that, I decided to look her up on MySpace so I could see what she looked like.
Had you ever been told about Tykia?
Yes.
Who told you about her?
My mother. She just kind of mentioned that we had another sister, but I didn't know what her name was.
So, Miss Richmond, how did Mr. Griffen end up with child support papers if you said he was not the father?
Okay, I'm getting ready to explain that to you, Your Honor. When I moved to Wisconsin with her when she was almost 2, and we took a paternity test at that time, okay? I went on and did the child support, and she told me that, well, the test proves that he's not the father, so do you have another name to give me?
So you were told he was not the father?
Yes, I
All
was.
right, now I want to jump over to you. Mr. Griffen, do you remember submitting to this DNA testing years ago?
I do, and from my knowledge, that I got the paper saying I was the father.
You got the papers and they said that you were the father.
Yes.
So you're saying you got paperwork from one DNA test, you got paperwork that says you were the father, and Ms. Richmond, you got paperwork that says he was not.
Exactly. And I also
I've been hearing that for about 8 years.
Okay.
It's stupid because when I looked, I said, Mom, there's no record of that DNA
Exactly,
test.
that's what they...
Hold on, so now the plot thickens.
Why would I get child support papers if I didn't
I don't
show
know
up for
why
the test?
Jackson County would lie when we called. They said they cannot. I tried to get
your
the
mom
paternity
just said
court.
right over there herself that she had the test done.
Yeah, I took
They
the
said
test.
you
And I
didn't.
Oh, hold on,
Thank you.
family, hold on.
Yes, Your Honor, yes.
Wow, this is
Well, I
complicated.
called. All I know is I believe the other people better than believe in
Thank
them.
you.
And when I called them, they said that they do not have a test.
Thank
they
you.
said that
From him.
we took ours, but he did not show up to take his. That's what they said. If
And
that's
that
not
in and
true,
of
I
its-
don't know.
That
But that's
would've
what
been
they
a
said.
And
told me.
listen, that in and of itself is why, even at 32 years old, it is important for you to be in this courtroom today.
Amen.
From that very piece of testimony you just said. I want to move forward because I want to understand. In your court papers, Tykia, you mentioned that one of the reasons you were prompted to get down to the bottom of this was because of the loss of your husband.
Correct. One of the other sisters, Griffen sisters, her wedding was May 21st, 2011. And she invited me and my husband. And my husband believed I looked like some of the other sisters. So he was like, yeah, we should go. We should go. And I'm like, I don't know. And then I like talked to the other people, like my sister and my mom. They like, you know, I don't think they're your family, so why would you go all the way to Michigan to a wedding? So we did not go, and that was the day he died.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And he was a firefighter. I loved him to death, and he drowned. So, I mean, I was just so sad.
He drowned in the line of duty?
Yeah, if you go in Macon, Georgia, they renamed the area after him on Lake Tobesaki to the Michael Jones fishing area. So that's nice. And so basically her wedding day is Mike's death date. So if we would have went, maybe he would have been alive. Yeah. I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize.
It's okay.
You don't have to apologize, and you don't have to feel guilty.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No,
I'm sorry. I just don't want to talk about my husband.
I understand.
I'm talking about.
I understand.
Sorry.
You don't have to apologize. What I'm here to make you understand, and I'm hoping that I can, is that this guilt that you feel, first of all, I want to say it's normal. I have lost my mother, and I probably replay that day. It's been 10 years, and I still replay the day. If I would have took the 12 o'clock flight instead of the 5 o'clock flight, and everything that I could have done in between, that is natural. But what I see here is even another layer to this. That because of that lack of security, because of that feeling of disconnection, all of these feelings, I believe, are compounding what your natural grief process would be. And that's where our paternity issues, they begin to anchor us down, they weigh us down so that we can't move forward. And that's why it's important that we come here to get this resolved today. I think it's time to get some answers.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Before I go to these results, Mr. Griffen, I want you to look across the aisle right now. This is a woman, you say this is your daughter.
Yes, I believe, yes, I truly believe.
Well, to me, you haven't been in this courtroom acting like much of a father. And I want you to turn to your daughter right now, if you believe this is your daughter, and I'd like for you to tell the court how you feel, and more importantly, how you recognize what she feels.
Well, I'm sorry for your husband, and I wish that I had been there for you. And I'm sorry for not being there for you.
Listen, I do believe you have a level of regret. You come from a generation where I'm sure there was a level of, well, just let well enough alone. Some people believe that. We hear those stories in this courtroom where when things get away from us or people move on, you don't want to disrupt maybe what the new family structure is, and you feel like, well, let me just play my part and stay to the back. But what I do want you to understand is, as this young woman stands here and talks about what she's dealt with for 32 years, I want you to honor the part you had to play in that hurt, because that is important for her healing as well. I'm ready for the results. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Griffen versus Richmond, when it comes to 32-year-old Tykia Richmond, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Griffen, you are not her father. 32 years of thinking you were this woman's father.
I'm just gonna have to help her find it because I got names for her. So whatever I gotta do to find her father, I'm just gonna have to continue.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's cool.
You're still my sister.
Ms. Myers, you have brought your mother, Ms. Madrigal, to court today because you claim she has no idea who your biological father is. You say your mother gave you a list of 13 possible men, and you are hoping to determine who your father is today. The court has located 2 of the 13 men and has already ordered paternity tests to be administered. Ms. Madrigal, you admit to having a laundry list of potential fathers, but hope today answers your daughter's lifelong question. Now, Ms. Myers, what were the circumstances that started your search for your biological father?
When I was 13 years old, I had a father figure in my life, and he died at that age. And, you know, when he died, I needed closure. I needed somebody to be there.
And so at 13 years old, how did you find out that there were potentially 13 different men that could be your father?
The list came from my mom telling me over approximately a year, maybe a little longer. She would always just say, you know, here's a name, you know. And I think to her, it seemed like it was a joke.
Okay, Ms. Madrigal, as you're giving your daughter this list, and I do not mean this in a joking way,
Right.
you couldn't narrow it down from 13?
You know, the 13 that she's named is like 13 ghosts, fabricated.
What about Pick Any Man in Seattle?
You made
So
that
where
joke.
does this Pick Any Man in
Hold
Seattle?
Hold on, because
when were
any friend that she met of mine, a guy friend, she'd ask him, were they her father? Really, are you serious? So my thing is this,
yeah,
when she'll say, oh, is he my dad? I'll say, I don't know, could be anybody in Seattle, since she thinks that's what it is, absolutely.
When you're to a point
it
where
could be
you're
this guy right
being
here.
raised upon,
yeah,
see?
really.
See?
Ms. Myers, in your statement, you say that your life without a father has been extremely difficult. Please explain.
I feel lost. You know, I feel confused. I don't know who I am. I don't know my heritage. I don't know what I'm completely mixed with. I don't know where I came from. I don't know nothing.
You came from me.
Yeah, I
Doesn't
knew
matter.
you're half of the
Doesn't
family,
matter.
but that's only half
Nobody
the story.
else matters.
That's
Can't
only
no
half
man,
the story.
Can't no man raise me better than you can, even though it doesn't even matter. So
raised me?
save it.
You
Save
raised
it.
me?
Oh, I raised you.
No, you didn't.
I raised you.
You weren't
Monica,
even there.
stop
So
it.
anyways.
Ms.
Stop it.
Myers, you claim that you left home when you were 15 years old.
Yeah, I did.
Why is that? Why?
I didn't want to be around her.
You didn't get along to this degree even when you were 15 years old?
Worse than this. It's even worse than this. The only reason why I'm even somewhat civil with her is because I have an ex that used to preach to me all the time about having to be be close to my mom, and I wanted to be right with God. So therefore, for God.
God.
She won't even
That's
allow.
a good one. Use God. You damn devil. Use God.
I'm the devil. You're the devil. You're the devil.
Use God.
You don't
Do you
You're
realize
crazy.
that you just stood in this court and called your daughter a devil?
Basically. Because
You
all this is
can't mean
unnecessary.
that.
It's all unnecessary. It really is. All this is for her to find out what she wants to know. That's what matters. All the rest of this
Find out what I
knocking
wanna
me,
know.
making me out to be some kind of tramp and all that, it needs to stop.
Do you feel like all your life, the way it has turned out, the situation you find yourself in, your relationship with your mother, is this all because you didn't have that father in your life that you wanted, or that you
That's
didn't
how I feel.
know who your
I feel
father
like I
is?
didn't have a mother, and I felt like I didn't have a father.
You got to understand, I didn't have to have you. I chose to have you.
All four.
So don't do
chose to
that.
have-
And now
She chose to
that
have
takes
me.
us back to determining who your father is.
That's right.
Because in this dance, we at least know it does take 2 to tango.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Madrigal, you do admit that there were multiple partners at the time that Ms. Myers was
Of course,
conceived.
but you got to realize I was 17. So any calculation within that time, I could have been way off and not known. Because by the time I found out, I was 4 months pregnant with her. You see what I'm saying? So there could be a list of whomever. It's the
Now she
timing.
admits
It's
to
in the
the list.
timing. Okay.
The list that is missing out of my diary.
Really, Monica?
Yeah,
the list that
that's
you
missing out of my
fabricated? The
diary.
13 ghosts you got in the book?
Where's it at? It's gone.
You know, ask
Who
your brother.
ripped it out?
Ask your brother.
Who
because your
ripped it
brother
out?
had
What
that
is
book.
that diary you're holding up?
That's my diary that I've had since I was 13 years old. That's where I started my list, is in that. And all of a sudden, my pages are missing.
Hold on.
She had to bring it out here.
Okay, we've got to figure out whether 2 of the men that the court has identified is in fact Ms. Myers' father. Your statement to the court says that you've met the 2 out of the 13 that the court has administered tests to, Mr. Keith McCraney and a Mr. Derek Smith. You smiled at one or both of those names?
It's an evil smile and a happy smile.
An evil smile and a happy smile. Well, who's the evil smile for?
Keith.
Keith. So I take it we don't care for him.
I don't like him. I hate him with a passion.
Wow.
Did you see it?
Why do you feel that way?
He's just inappropriate with me. When I'm at the airport, he's talking about how sexy I am.
But you are. You're beautiful. So, I mean, what's that? Maybe a compliment?
A compliment? Ooh, girl, you are so sexy.
He meant
What the
that as,
hell?
look how pretty you are. I mean, save that. Don't do that.
I'll tell you what, we're going to meet Mr. McCraney, so please come to the witness stand here and sit with me. And Jerome, if you could please step out and get the witness for me, Mr. Keith McCraney and his daughter, Carmen.
Oh, great.
Wow. I cannot believe what I just heard. Like, for real.
Mr. McCraney, thank you for coming to join us and submitting to the paternity testing. I want to ask you first, you do know Ms. Myers' mom, Ms. Madrigal.
Yes, I did.
Please state how you met her.
You know, we got together. She came over. She told me she thought I was sexy, whatever, good looking. Okay, we had sex. It was a 3-minute thing. You know, 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
She confirmed it. He swore to tell the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
Okay. So, how did you find out that Ms. Madrigal was pregnant?
I did not know she was pregnant, Your Honor. I'm walking downtown Seattle where we live. I see her and the baby at the fountain. I said, oh, cute baby, who is she? She said, my daughter.
And you giggled?
Yes, yes.
Why?
I couldn't believe it, you know, 3 minutes. I understand it doesn't take that, but...
So you
only takes 2
instantly
seconds to
knew
get pregnant?
that it was your 3 minutes of fame that had gotten her there?
Well, Your Honor, I
not how it
also
happened.
found out, Your Honor, that when she left my house, she went to another man's house.
Sure did.
And the same thing happened the same day.
That was the plan in the first place.
The same day.
Yeah. This wasn't planned. Keith
Same
and
day.
I weren't planned. That's what I'm saying. My friend was
Your
going
Honor,
there to meet up
her
with his
and the
cousin.
same friend
That's
that
how
was
it
at my
happened.
house was at his house. That's how I know it was the same day.
Right.
Okay. So when is the first time you remember meeting Mr. McCraney?
I was 13 and I was going into 14.
Now, your mother, Ms. Madrigal, stated that you spent the weekend at one of his girlfriend's house.
I stayed the night over with him and his girlfriend and her kids.
Yes.
Come to find out that one of her kids was his child, but that she was in question at the time and they had to be tested years later.
Everyone.
I'll never forget. I told my mom, I said, you've got to be kidding me. I said, Mom, this ugly is my dad.
Now, wait a minute. First
She
of
was
all,
much younger. She was much
you
younger.
may not watch your language around your mother, but you got to watch your language in this court. Now, that's inappropriate and disrespectful.
Your Honor.
Mr. McCraney, your daughter is here, and Ms. Vernon, you have held on like I've asked you to, but I want to understand from you why you feel so strongly about Ms. Myers.
Okay, well, as far as Monica's concerned, she's talking about, oh, he's this and he's that. Well, if that's the case, then how come you got his picture on Facebook with you and your mom talking about, oh, yeah, well, is this person my dad and blah, blah, blah.
I did that because I wanted people
but
to see.
if he's such a bad guy, then why would you even
I don't want
put him on
nothing to do
Facebook
with
and
it,
say, oh, yeah, well, is he my
because I don't want to
dad?
expose him of what he really
But you
is.
did expose him.
What is
But you
that?
did expose him on
And what is
Facebook
that
to a
besides a good
stranger.
father?
Your
Besides
good
a
father,
good
you weren't
father.
even in Carmen's life.
Let's get to
I don't
the
want
facts.
nothing to do with him, his family, her. She done started all this problems where her family got her cousins trying to fight me.
They did. They've all treated her bad, and you admit they did, Keith.
Yes,
they did.
yes, yes.
Nobody wanted to claim her, but claim all your other possible kids.
I know you are upset with her or what she maybe posted on Facebook about your father.
Because like I told her, when I talked to her, I was like, that's just ratchetness. That is just some scandalous stuff.
Ratchet?
Yes, it's
I'm
ratchet.
ratchet because
it's ratchet.
I was made
it's
of-
ratchet.
of-
But
of
besides
these
that, you don't know
and
if you're
who
made between
else?
these two. If there's 13
I'm ratchet because I was
possibilities, if
made
there's 13
of
possibilities,
Let's get it together.
These guys, everybody's attacking me like I'm the one that was laying down sleeping with people. I'm the one that was made.
Miss Myers,
Okay?
I understand.
I'm the one that was made.
Miss Myers, look at me. Look at me. I understand you're hurt. There's not a person sitting in here today that could imagine being in your position. Tell me what you feel.
No, I don't know why you're crying.
Because I shouldn't have to go through this. I'm 26 years old with my own kid.
It doesn't matter because I'm your mama and I'm your daddy, and that's what I've been. So I don't care what nobody else thinks. You can save it. You can save it. You can tell these people what you want. They don't live in my shoes. I raised you, and I raised you right. So all this other doesn't even matter. I would die for you, so stop the rest.
Ms. Madrigal, you're very emotional as well.
Nobody, first of all, don't attack my child, and I know you guys don't mean it. You guys are upset too. It's my child.
We realize now that Mr. McCraney is not the man that you would like to be your father ultimately.
No.
We do have another gentleman here that has also submitted to the paternity testing. And at this time, the court would like to hear from him. Jerome, if you could please escort Mr. Derek Smith in, and Mr. McCraney and Ms. Vernon, feel free to have a seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Derek.
Mr. Smith, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good,
Thank
Judge.
you for joining us. We're really glad that you could be here today, and we appreciate you submitting to the DNA testing because this court realizes that you are one of two men here today that we've identified that could potentially be Ms. Myers' father. And you do know that there still could potentially be 11 more per Ms. Myers' statement.
Yes, I do.
And now, how did you come to meet or have a relationship with Ms. Madrigal?
Around the age 19 to 20, we had a brief encounter of sex. And then one day I seen Samantha and she gave me a baby picture and told me that you're possibly the father of this child. And then I did not see her for quite a long time after that. One day I was coming out of a building and Samantha drove up with Monica in the back seat and said, there's your dad right there.
No, that first of all, I didn't walk up to you to picture. You seen her and asked me, was that your child, because of her eyes. You did that. Don't do that. You couldn't even remember where it happened. That's what's so funny.
That's because it was so brief and you were so fast, you know?
Yeah, whatever. I was so fast.
You were all over the place, Samantha, and you know it. That's why there were, what, 13, maybe 20?
You were DJ Quick, my friend. You couldn't keep it. That's your problem.
Yeah, okay.
The thing is,
You were just too slutty, that's why.
You couldn't remember where it was.
Oh, well.
That's how sad
Let's
that
bring
is.
the conversation back to the issue at hand, which is Ms. Myers. When you came in, you hugged. Tell me a little bit about that. How have you developed a relationship?
Well, I talked to her on the phone a lot, and I even helped her move into her new home, and I've met her children.
We've had a good relationship. He's been everything that I want as a father.
You do feel it's a possibility that you could be her father?
I mean, I think we look a lot alike.
Do you see the resemblance? Do you see it?
I see
well,
it right
we both
here,
have big foreheads,
right
kind
here.
of.
You know, I think we've heard enough, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to find out the results.
It is. Let's find out.
Remember, there have been 2 men that have been tested, and we have 11 others in question. But it very well may be that one of these 2 gentlemen could be your father. So, Jerome, if you please hand me the envelope, the first one. So this is to see if Mr. Derek Smith is in fact the father of Ms. Myers. I know you're hoping that he in fact is. The DNA test results show that Mr. Smith, you are not Monica's father.
I never thought I'd have to hear that. I still love you, though.
It's okay.
I promise that.
I'll still be there for you, okay? Whatever you need, I'll be there for you.
I still love you, for real.
How do you feel, Ms. Myers?
Scared. Terrified right now, because it cannot be him.
Mr. Smith, if you could take a seat, and Mr. McCraney, please step to the podium. Thank you. Jerome, please hand me the second envelope. Thank you. when it comes to Miss Monica Myers, Mr. Keith McCraney, it has been determined by this court that you are the father.
There it is.
Did you faint, Mr. McCraney?
I
don't
what?
believe that at all.
Whoa.
No. They must have got their tests mixed up
You
or
are
something
the father.
backstage. There's no way. They must have got their tests mixed up or something.
Whoa.
I don't believe that at all.
Thank you for coming back in, Miss Myers. I know you're upset.
I hate him. I hate his family, man.
Can I say something? Can I please? Monica, regardless to whatever Keith has been through in 26 years, Keith wasn't always gone through what he's gone through.
Wow.
You think I just jump in there with anybody, Ugmos or something? Come on, Keith was one of the finest people in
I don't
Bellevue.
care. The
Please.
family has rejected me so much that
that's
there's
true.
no rekindling the pain they've caused for me.
That's true.
I don't deserve none of this. I didn't deserve it from the jump.
I recognize that you have been a victim,
I had to do
but
all
it's
this
your
living by
choice
myself.
as to whether you continue to be one. Now, you came here for an answer. It wasn't the answer you wanted, but you got the answer. And from the way it looks, from my vantage point, you've got 4 people in your life right now that have said to you, our hearts and our doors are still open for this girl.
Still. They
Are
were
still
never
open.
open.
But they are now.
For real. What'd you say to me
Never.
at the airport?
Hey, sexy.
What
Yes, I
else?
said
What
that.
else?
That's it.
Jesus is
What else?
everything to me
That's
all
it.
the
Yeah,
time.
okay,
That's
go
it.
ahead.
Well,
That's it.
Ms. Myers, he might not have meant a sexual undertone or energy behind that word. He might have just meant to say, you look beautiful today. And that's something you've got to learn as a man now that you are a father of girls.
Yes.
And you've got to fix that.
I'm gonna try.
You've got to find out what's appropriate and inappropriate, and you've got to take heed. Are you understanding me?
Yes, I do.
All right, now going forward, it's up to you all to clean this up. Take care. I'll be checking on you. Court is adjourned.